so much for coming to our second ever Woman in Hardware event. Great to have all of you here. Yeah. So who's been to a hardware meetup event before? Awesome, it's about half. Cool. So if you haven't been to one of our events before, we've been running since 2016, and we're all about bringing people together to showcase amazing companies working in different areas of the hardware space. But today in particular, we really want to highlight some really cool women that are working in the hardware space, which is a lot harder to see sometimes, unfortunately. Cool. So this is a bit different from our normal format where each of our three speakers will give a really quick 10-minute presentation just to kind of about their journey and them more personally, and then we'll open up into a panel. So we couldn't do this event without our amazing sponsors, so I'm just going to give each of them a little spiel. So first up, Braymac is a leading distributor of electronic components in Australia and New Zealand with 17 offices throughout all major continents, and they can meet both your sourcing and supply needs globally. Their comprehensive product line allows you to access an abundance of technology solutions and devices, and we aim to provide the best solutions and technology at the right price to ensure the customers can be the most successful in the markets they serve. And next up we have Loon Digital, which is an embedded systems expert specializing in high-tech, IoT, and wearable solutions. For the last 10 years, Loon Digital has been assisting visionary companies with hardware design, electronics engineering, embedded software development, and technical advice. They excel in optimizing battery life, boosting power efficiency, enhancing wireless connectivity, and creating scalable, future-proof systems. And last of all, we have Blender, which is a product design and development consultancy. Their collaborative approach and strategic design process and technical know-how deliver engineered, purpose-made products. Since 2006, Blender has partnered with many incredible companies, helping them to realize their vision and shape their future by supporting them with exceptional product design, prototyping, engineering, and manufacturing services. And then last of all, we have Outset Ventures, which is the venue we're in today. So basically the largest deep tech co-working space in New Zealand. They're really cool. All the startups that work from here are up on that wall over there. And there'll be some members in the audience tonight that also work here. But they have like hot desking, and they also have basically lab space for startups to come and work from, which is quite good. And venture capital as well. Sweet, awesome. Thank you for joining me, Margaret.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Why don't you take us through your journey?
So my name is Margaret Anderson. I'm a product development manager at Fisher & Paykel Healthcare. I'm currently on maternity leave, which is why I agreed to do this. All jokes aside, I decided to make a Prezi slide so that everyone could come on my journey with me. And for those who have been on a Prezi slide, seen one before, it's all quite like you zoom in and you zoom out, and it's quite fun. So who am I? I'm a mother of three, so I've got a toddler. On the right-hand side, I've got an Instagram versus reality, or what is life like? So a toddler who's 3 years old, a 3-month-old baby, and Taro the cat. I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm a friend, and I'm an engineering manager, in that order. Hobbies, it was quite fun to do this slide because it made me think about all the things that I don't have time to do anymore. But on the left-hand side, there's a bit of artsy stuff like the oil painting, reading, and coffee, and then the right-hand side's all the like more active things like Rogaines and windsurfing and travel exploration. Cool. So education background, I did a Bachelor of Engineering in Biomedical Engineering at the University of Auckland. Did maths, biomechanics, so basically engineering and how it applies to the human body. I formed the Engineering and Arts and Design Society with some really close friends, and we did pavement art and photography and things like that. And then that's when I started volunteering at Radio Lollipop, and that lasted for about 8 years. So that was volunteering at Starship Hospital, and that was a really good time. Told me. Cool. And then I started my career as a product development engineer at Fisher & Paykel Healthcare back in 2014. I rotated from the test center team to a software team to 2 electronics teams, and during that time I met Suzanne, one of the other speakers, and conducted a lot of lab work, documentation, clinical trials, getting involved with trials at Middlemore Hospital to try and release one of our humidifier platforms.
Yeah, I've discovered it. There's so many people always start at Fisher & Paykel Healthcare. It's a very, very common start of the career.
Yep, and some of us stay.
Yeah.
And then during that time, I was like, I need more challenge. So I decided to start my Master's of Engineering Studies. I studied part-time alongside work, and that was challenging. It was in the Master of Engineering Studies in Medical Devices and Technologies at the University of Auckland, and some of the papers were Power Electronics, Medical Device Practice, and understanding why we do things a certain way, because the med device industry is really highly regulated, and it really gave you an idea of why you have to do that. And my thesis was on updating an ISO standard, so International Standards Organization, and that involved some travel to some different countries to attend ISO meetings where everyone sort of sits around in a room and then you close the doors and then you just work for hours at a time for a week. So that was really eye-opening. And then between the years of 2018 and 2020, I started scoping a blue sky opportunity, which is top secret, so I'm going to talk around it. But it involved a lot of physiology, literature review, trying to establish relationships with key opinion leaders who are clinicians around the world in this new space, going to conferences and trade shows, so more travel, and then developing ideas for a new device, prototyping molding tools using CNC, developing test equipment and protocols for testing. The intellectual property side was really interesting as well, so getting some of those patents. And then designing a clinical trial and getting ethics approval. And after doing that work, I got promoted to senior engineer, yay. So the key learnings in that early career phase, I would say, I leaned on a close group of women to support one another, and 2 of you, or more of you are probably, 3 of you are in this room. And that was really good because, you're in such a big company and you feel like you're a little bit alone. So seeing other people trying to face the challenges together, it made you feel really empowered. And we went from a group who, talked about our challenges to a group who, what should we do to grow our skill set? And then we invited speakers to come talk to us, and then we grew like that.
That's so wholesome.
Yeah, it is very wholesome. And then imposter syndrome, understanding what it is and how to overcome it. I guess not everyone experiences it, but if you do experience it, how do you actually overcome that? And sifting through feedback, not ruminating on feedback, and understanding that someone giving you feedback is actually more of a reflection on them than rather, what it is like for you. And saying yes to opportunities, but not stretching yourself out too thin, because those early years, women tend to say yes to things, and then you're a grad, you're like, yes, 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 and then you're overworked. Yeah. And then we jumped to 2021 to 2022, where I formed a team and became an engineering manager. I got my team to send me a selfie of them last week. And during that time, I led some of the business development side of things for my project, understanding risks and opportunities, presenting to our VPs, our CEO, and our board on our project to gain project support. Just because you have a project and you're all about it, it doesn't mean that everyone's going to support it in favor of existing projects within the company. And then developing really, really close relationships with clinicians who are the people who are going to use your product in the end. And then I went on maternity leave, and then I came back from maternity leave, and then it was a juggle from then on. So leading project management, developing my team, making sure that the innovation is still there in terms of R&D, shaping the business strategies, and then meeting requirements. Going to meet the FDA was a particular highlight for me, and doing lots of presentations to lots of different people. Yeah. And so, forgot about the slide. Side quests.
You love side quests here.
I love side quests. My side quests were running the Fisher & Paykel Makerspace. So we have a committee.
I didn't know you guys had one.
Yeah,
That's
we
so
have
cool.
one, yeah. So it wasn't like a physical space, but we ran a lot of competitions and show and tells, basically making use of everyone's access to the equipment on site. So it's been really cool getting to know a lot of people through that and seeing the cool stuff that everyone makes. Really inspirational, learning new skills. And then leading a team to work on a DEI project, which was increasing the visibility of women role models in engineering, because you find that, hey, as you move on in your career, there are less and less role models. You might have to find role models at different spaces, or the company might be so big that you might not know who could be a potential role model. So linking people up, and that's worked pretty well. And then the rest of my time is doing some group mentoring, so supporting a small group of women with around 5 years experience and trying to empower them as well, like how we did back in the day. Back in the day.
I love how you're bringing it forward. That's so cool.
Yeah. So the key learnings in the past few years have been challenging the status quo. So this large company versus startup mentality. So with a company of a few thousand people, how do you still move really fast? How do you fail fast? Finding new ways of doing things when there are established ways of doing things, and influencing others in different ways. And then we have effective communication, which is probably the same for everyone. Just maintaining open dialogue, and especially when you manage a team, how do you address concerns early, and you manage expectations when there are changes, and using different communication styles depending on the people who are receiving things, and really listening. And finding mentors, coaches, and sponsors, understanding the difference between each of those, and finding a range of them, and whether they're formal or informal, and leaning on them for support if you need to make decisions, or just having a chat. Talking really helps. And then paying it forward, supporting others where you can. Leadership versus management. I did a leadership course where they really, challenged what is management versus leadership, how to be an authentic leader. Women tend to be more empathetic, but if you're assertive, you get coined as bossy. So how to balance the two, understanding strength-based leadership and leaning on your strengths, and working with other people who have strengths in areas where you might not have those strengths, or your preferences aren't there. And showing vulnerability and admitting when you don't know how to do something, and when you've made mistakes, and actually owning up to those. And then, especially after having 2 children, the time management side of things, how to make time for yourself, especially when everybody needs you. How to check on your mental health, and understanding what's beneficial for your mental health, and not actually worrying about time taken off to start and grow a family. I've had to work on that one quite a lot myself. Yeah. That's me.
That was so good.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, I'm Suzanne, and I've said where I've started because I had this reflection that our careers are like 40 plus years long, and I've been in it like just over a decade. It's not very long. That's quite scary. This is where I started my career in my 90s glory. I have to thank my mum for that. But I was just reflecting on how, I guess our school years are really impactful. And so for me, I loved arts and crafts and creating things, and I was fascinated with the pyramids of Egypt and gadgets and climbing trees and creating structures out of cloth / sewing. But I had this question when I got to going into uni, was like, do I want to go creative or technical? And my decision was, I can do the creative stuff in my own time. I'll go technical. And I went into maths, which was interesting. So after a year of pure maths, which really satisfied my brain, but didn't satisfy my people side, I went and saw a careers counsellor because I was feeling pretty stuck. And that incomplete really hurts, but I had to make the decision to be like, no, it's not worth investing more time in this. And I went into problem solving with people and did a Bachelor of Mechanical Engineering. And during that time, I did some really cool internships. I spent a summer in overalls getting greasy, and my mum gave me like a nail brush for Christmas, and worked down in Dunedin with Fisher & Paykel appliances. But I got really inspired by medical devices. Yes, start the clock. And this is what inspired me. Lawrence, one of the general managers, came and talked to us about these tiny neonatal babies who are wearing these devices / the oxygen tubes, and they need them to breathe. And this thing that is bringing them life is actually hurting them. And how they went through the design process to create this beautiful cannula that is soft and silicone and matches the form of the baby. And that became personal a few years later because that's my nephew, Luke. And they spent a few pretty scary days in hospital after he went blue, and they ambulanced him there from RSV. So, yeah. So I started my journey, dream grad job. I was like, I'll do 3 years and reevaluate. Product development engineer, same graduating class as Margaret. And I spent the first 3 years just having so much fun. Like, we had this incredible opportunity of like state-of-the-art manufacturing facility, got to learn, injection plastic molding with the machines right on our doorstep, extrusion, assembly. My projects were all immediately had stakeholders across the whole business. I'd learn about supply chain and all sorts of things, volunteer for photo shoots, and it was just great. And then I hit the flat years, and I guess that reflects a little bit of like the flattening out of that learning curve, but mentally I really struggled. I think at this point in our career we had a lot of people leave, go do exciting travel, change careers, and I felt like I was in the right place and I was making a difference, but the learning curve was a lot slower. You're doing things for the third or fourth time, the problems are harder, the challenges were more real. I was helping with a clinical trial in our Auckland and Middlemore NICUs, and they would bring us real-life problems and we'd have to figure out the solution while dealing with the cost and the way-up of changing product and all those sorts of things. But that's me in the mess. I had an awesome manager, and he actually sat me down one day and was like, "You're not your usual smiley self. Are you looking after yourself?" And that was great. And there were some highlights through all of that that kept me going. On the left-hand side is an education session I designed for our 50-year anniversary, where we simulated a baby being looked after in the hospital, and that some of our production team, who some of them had worked at the company like 30 years and never seen how the part that they made was used, and it was just, we had one lady in tears being like, "Wow, that's what I make." Or, "Oh, it's a bubbler because it bubbles with water in it." Wow. That was awesome. And yeah, on the other side is the research team at Middlemore Hospital that I worked with, getting to take them into our production facility, which was cool for them to see the impact of their feedback. And I guess in that time I grew a lot of confidence as I was doing projects and gaining this experience. You get more trust from the senior people, and they're sending you overseas to solve technical problems, and I'm teaching people how to use our product, and also learning how to care a little bit less as well and just be myself.
Yeah.
So that was me. And that kind of next step was into this senior product development engineering role. And over those years, I worked in that role for 2 years. I got to do a lot of travel, seeing our product in the real world, and continued my passion project of developing our usability lab and some of that user-centered design. Then I moved into this opportunity as a product development manager, and the learning curve went like this again. And yeah, like Margaret said, our role is high responsibility. You're suddenly making a lot heavier decisions. The product group I was in was one of our legacy products, and I was helping solve problems with our post-market stuff. So, I'd have a day walking around the lake at lunch, talking to one of my mentors going, we have this issue. If I make the call to do a recall, that's 100,000 products. If I don't make the call to do a recall, am I hurting 100,000 people? Pretty big stuff to learn how to do the risk analysis properly on. But it was really, really good, and I had an awesome team. So I got to hire my team, which was amazing. The first 4 grads joined the team, and we tackled this fun new product project, and then over time got to be joined by a few other experienced people, which was awesome. And then I was 10 years into my career and getting married and moving house and doing lots of things, and I was kind of ready to take a risk. And this opportunity came up with Illimetry, which is a startup. We work on a gastric mapping device, and they were looking to see how they could not be a one-product company, but have a portfolio of products in this space. It's a really new, novel technology. The clinical utility is still, being developed, but there's a lot of, optimism that this could really change the face of gastric diagnostics. And then this year, I didn't introduce myself with my title because I have a bit of a crisis in my identity at the moment, is that I'm the acting head of engineering because our head of engineering is taking 6 months of leave. But I'm actually doing both the roles, and I could only do that because I have amazing people in the team that I just delegate lots of things to. But it's been great to be able to manage that team of electrical and mechanical engineers looking after our hardware. Things that I've learnt: you have transferable skills. Amazing. Who would have thought it took me 10 years of my career and a job change to realize this? But yeah, it made me realize a lot of my transferable skills came from outside of work. Whether it was, my hockey team and learning how to communicate well and encouraging from the sideline, and being the captain who has to talk the ref down because someone's done something naughty. Or just taking risks and being able to know how to do risk evaluation and know that if you take the risks and something goes wrong, you can pick yourself back up. And then I did a lot of people stuff. So answering the phone for Dad's home business was, skills that I still use. Teaching my Sunday school kids how to understand big concepts and think critically about them. Facilitating a study group conversation. They're all things that I use in my work. Seek insight from outside. I learned recently that humans are really bad at self-evaluation, which is something I guess we all kind of know, but it made me appreciate how important the people in our life are. My manager, Gavin, who was my manager for my first 7 years, he was such a good question asker. He would make me own my answers. He would make me back myself. He held me to a really high standard, but then he was the first person to push me up and give me space to grow. And then Lani in the bottom left-hand corner, she believed I could do things before I believed I could. She was the one who said, let's go do a half marathon. Or, she mentored me in a lot of people stuff as well. So, yeah, lots of wonderful people. And this is a special one from me. I don't know if everyone agrees, but I love to collaborate out loud and in writing. And this has been a learning throughout my career that by putting things in writing, it's this powerful communication tool of you're not just hearing, you're returning that feedback back, and it clarifies issues, it clarifies miscommunications, it builds trust because people understand that you've heard them, and it really helps to drive decisions and, you know, move stuff forward. So, thanks. That's me.
Awesome. Thank you, Suzanne. Next up, we have Taylor.
Hi everyone. Thanks for inviting me here tonight.
No worries. Thank you for coming.
Bit of a last minute, but got there in the end. So I'm Taylor. I'm a product designer, kind of an all-round creative, and a bit of a spoiler alert, but yes, neurospicy. Just recently. Which button was this? This one here.
That one, I think.
Cool. So a little snapshot of me outside of work. I just love the outdoors, and I think my favorite place is actually underwater. Love diving, love just being out in the ocean. Too many hobbies to keep track of. So to talk you through my journey, I kind of split it into 3, so we'll go through that. This project here was actually the catalyst to my passion for design and technology. This is my high school project. I built this when the AC45s launched the America's Cup, and I completely nerded out and decided I was going to build a remote control boat.
That is so cool.
So crazy. Anyway, so that kind of launched me into thinking, what's next? And the big old question, where am I going to go? I'm going to do engineering, design. So yeah, followed my gut and went down to Wellington and did industrial design down in Wellington at Massey. Lots of sketching, lots of prototyping. The workshop was my second home. Literally anything you could want to build, you could do in that workshop. It was so cool. Lots of fun prototyping and user testing, 3D modeling, rendering, little side projects I got dragged into, amazingly asked to be in, of course. But yeah, this is the Wild-Based Recovery BirdLife Centre in Palmy, so got to be involved in that and the fit out for that, and built this cute little huia installation. It was quite fun. I'll just take you through one of the projects that I did with my amazing group at the time in 4th year. We did this boat design project, and we got to create our own brief for like what would Volvo do. So did a styling assessment, concepts, development. This was our final render of the CAD model. We were really stoked with how it came out. Built a scale model. We got the whole CNC'd and 3D printed a bunch of parts, and many hours spent sanding and painting, and this was the result, which was pretty fun. And yeah, we picked up a gold award for that at the Best Awards, so we were pretty stoked about that. So yeah, kind of rolled out of university and managed to get a job with Jessie at Vivid Origin in Wellington. And then I had 2 weeks there and we went into lockdown, so that was kind of interesting. But yeah, graduated at home with my flatmates. But yeah, it was at Vivid that I really got to kind of double down on my skills I learned at uni, and as a consultancy, I got to do so many different projects and work with different clients, and I think that variety just made it so much fun. So yeah, prototyping, testing, helping create new products for entrepreneurs and startups, little bits and bobs, just flick through some of those cool things. But yeah, my favorite project out of my time at Vivid, I was there for 5 years, was Mindful Spaces, and I worked on this for probably 3 to 4 years. And yeah, the brief was out of COVID and kids going back to school, teachers and principals were noticing more and more the kids were struggling at school. So yeah, the hypothesis was looking at, trying to understand what these kids were dealing with and how can we make a better classroom for them. So yeah, a bunch of research, looking at what we're dealing with here, and it kind of turned out actually maybe up to a third of the class are dealing with something on top of just normal life. And perhaps we hadn't quite understood how that was, working out in the classroom. And their needs weren't really being met. So yeah, the brief was, how can we create a better space and environment for these kids to learn and just their general well-being. So yeah, a really fun part of that was understanding those needs, and we were focusing mostly on primary school age kids, so that was fun to work with. Yeah, got to go really wide on concepts, which was so fun. Just really pushed the boat out there, but this was some of the concepts that we came to. A bunch of prototyping, obviously just little sketch models to start with, and then, jump into CAD, start kind of finalising more of these things, testing. I'd take stuff into the schools and they would wreck everything and I'd load it back in my car in pieces, right, back to the drawing board. Or they would just use things in completely different ways you hadn't thought of. I was like, a little wobble seat, they'll sit there like this and they're just spinning and spinning each other. I was like, okay, that wasn't quite what I expected, but amazing. So yeah, that was, there's some more prototyping. This is the final kind of colorway range inspired by nature. This is the final range that we came with for our clients. I'll just flick through a few of these images quickly. But yeah, this was just my baby, this project. I just adored being a part of it and I got so much out of it, and it was really fun working with our clients, Hamish and Matt. And yeah, managed to nab some pretty sweet awards for that one as well, for the project. So that was really gratifying, and I think that we weren't expecting it, but it kind of validated that it was a really neat piece of work, and I was just so grateful to be involved.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So this kind of comes to the point of my journey. I was kind of going like this. I was pushing really hard, doing lots, loving it, and this is kind of when the wheels started falling off for me. I was experiencing a lot of health issues that I couldn't explain, couldn't understand. I had to kind of step back from work. I was like, what's going on? So yeah, I just went through this whole process. Turns out it was undiagnosed ADHD my whole life, and nobody knew, and it doesn't get picked up in women because it presents so differently. And I think back to when I started this, it might have been a bit easier had I known. And quite ironic that I spent all that time working on the Mindful Project and didn't even pick up on it then, it just wasn't a thing. So yeah, I spent this time kind of reflecting, taking some time to step back and really reevaluate my priorities and what's going to work for me and understanding my brain. And I took to pottery, which was really fun and healing, and it was a great creative outlet for me. And just kind of getting back to basics, materials and craft, and I just loved it. Very different to, fabricating and CNCing, but I just love it. And this is kind of me at the moment. I'm focusing on my ceramics. I've been working on a bunch of tools to help adults who are also going through the process of being diagnosed later in life. It's quite a different experience to kind of growing up knowing. So yeah, I'm just learning, trying to understand, trying to help others, trying to raise awareness, because I didn't know, nobody mentioned it. I actually had to self-advocate for that as well myself. Even the specialist didn't think. I was like, hey, can we try this?
And it's also quite hard to get diagnosed
really
as well,
difficult,
right? Really difficult.
So yeah, that's been an interesting journey for me. But yeah, learning lots every day, trying to figure out what works best for me and my brain. Unlearn a whole lot of stuff, relearn a whole lot of stuff. But yeah, it's been an amazing journey, and I'm doing a bit of consulting, so I'm helping other entrepreneurs start their businesses, which has been really gratifying. And my partner and I are also building a house, so we are relocating a 100-year-old bungalow. And we've got no money, so we're doing a lot of the building ourselves.
So exciting.
It's really exciting, getting on the tools, so yeah, it's good. But yeah, life's kind of busy and crazy and beautiful and lots going on at the moment, but I'm not quite sure what the next step is after this, but just kind of swimming in the crazy at the moment and see what settles. But yeah, I just love the space and the tech and making things and being a part of new developments and stuff. So yeah, really excited to kind of see what's next. But yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Taylor. Yeah, some really common themes tonight, definitely about supporting other women in the workplace and also about creativity behind STEM, which I don't usually hear about a lot in the industry, so it's really nice to hear about that. Cool. So to start off, why don't we start with how would you describe the differences between mentors, coaches, and sponsors?
I can answer that one because we just talked about this. So mentors, I think mentors are people who you can talk to them, they've got experience, and you can probably draw from their experience to help solve your own problems. Coaches are people who will ask you lots of questions to help you solve your own problems. And sponsors are people who will advocate for you when you're not in the room. So people who, if an opportunity arises, they'll say, hey, why not, pick so-and-so for that opportunity. So that sponsors are probably the hardest people to find, but if you connect with enough people, we talked about this, if you build enough relationships, they'll come.
Build your brand
Yeah, build your brand.
with those people.
Yeah.
Or fan group.
Yeah.
Awesome. And how, I guess you kind of answered that a bit, but how do you go about finding mentors in the industry? Because I guess the women especially are all so dispersed. I guess you guys are very lucky to, like Fisher & Paykel Healthcare, that it's such a big organisation, but a lot of us are much smaller organisations where we might be the only woman in the room. What advice would all of you give to help find a mentor? It's a hard question.
It's hard. A lot of my mentors have not been women. And I think also knowing that every mentor has different experience and every coach has different perspectives, it's okay to have many and take the gold from each of them. So for example, when I became a manager, this gruff South African man who's like very straight up and down and will complain about how people are useless, came to me and said, we have similar values because we were friends. He's almost retired. He is retired now. Yeah. Oh my gosh. He came to me and said, hey, I know your values, Suzanne. If you want to talk about management from the perspective of your values, let's have lunch. And he was the one who sat down and said, it is your job as a manager to know what's going on in their lives, to know that their mum is sick, to know that, they're struggling with this. And, you just don't know what people are going to contribute. So, being open to those conversations, I think.
Yeah, for me, I think a lot of my mentors are informal mentors. They're people who I have coffee with once in a while, and then I just glean the bits of gold and gems and from them. I don't think I've actively gone and sought a mentor, but I think my career would have benefited had I done that. Suzanne here, once I became a manager, she gave me a book on the makings of a manager. Just, there's just people who are so awesome and help you out like that.
I guess I've never really had a proper official mentor, but the people that I can think of in my life who have given me such good advice would have been friends that I've met either through university or work or just life, and we're in a similar industry, slightly adjacent, and they are such incredibly intelligent women and men, one man, and they are so good at what they do, and they always just give me such little gems of advice when we're just talking, we'll be catching up, we'll be talking about something, and then I just learn so much from my friends, and they're so amazing, and I'm so inspired by them. So I suppose the people that you surround yourself with is really important, and I guess it's just a little bit of osmosis there happening. So very informal mentoring, but I've got some pretty incredible people around me that I learn from and pick little gems of advice up from over time. But
Definitely sounds like friendship is the common theme. That's great. Suzanne, how did you decide it was time to make a change from Fisher & Paykel to Elementary?
I cheated in that a door opened, but it was the right door at the right time. And I think it's going to be different for everyone. I was always, like I talked about my flat years, I was always on the lookout for a better opportunity. I never wanted to run away from my job because I was learning. I loved the people. I loved the impact we were having. And even though I had tough patches, I always wanted to leap into something that I thought was really awesome. So it was just that I had a door open and I was ready to take the risk in terms of just stage of life and stuff.
Awesome. Margaret, as someone who's spoken about growing your career alongside building your family, do you have any advice for other women looking to do the same?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Advice, I think, would be to lean on your support network or build a support network, and ensure that you have people around you who will still accept you even after going through huge life changes. You kind of, it's a true test of friendship. The real, I think, advice is to probably accept yourself and accept yourself for who you are now. You've changed, but you're still trying to find your identity. After going back to work, your brain might not function as sharply as before, but you'll get there, and you might even come back sharper. But it takes time, and just giving yourself the grace and the space to grow. And probably living close to grandparents, if that's a possibility. That actually makes life a bit easier. But yeah, ensuring that you have that support network and looking after your mental health and making sure there's still time for you, even if it's, an hour a week to go for a walk or, taking up a new hobby. Yeah.
Awesome, thanks. Question for Taylor. You mentioned building tools for other adults getting diagnosed, and I'm keen to hear more about if that's something you can discuss.
Yeah, it's pretty early days. I'm still kind of going through the journey myself, and I guess that's how it kind of started. I created these tools for myself. Affirmations, I guess you go through life undiagnosed and you're so hard on yourself because you can't do things quite like everyone else can, and you struggle with other things. And so yeah, I started kind of working on that, kind of helping you understand your brain and acknowledging and accepting and working through that. So it's been quite a cool emotional and self-validation tool. But yeah, I'm working on some other stuff as well. It's very much early days, but I would love to be able to help improve other people's experience of going through this process, because it was pretty isolating myself. I actually didn't even know any other women who had ADHD before I went through it myself, and I didn't even know it was a thing. Didn't even know. So yeah, if I could help raise awareness, help other people go through the process with a bit more ease and kindness and grace and, support, I think that would be pretty cool. I'm not sure what that looks like yet. I don't even know if it's a thing people want or not, but yeah, if I could help in that space in some way, that would be pretty amazing. Or help learn from others, if other people have been through a similar experience. But yeah, very much early days. If you have any requests, send them through. But yeah, I'm working on that in the background. Not quite sure how much time and effort I'll put into that at the moment. Lots on, but I'm definitely trying to dedicate at least a portion of time each week to kind of keep that moving forward. And I've just started out by giving it out to friends who are going through a similar process. Dropped off some stuff to one of my other friends the other week, and they just, it made me feel so wonderful that I could be there to help them go through this process, and just be there, be the support that I didn't have, I suppose.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So not quite sure where it's going. We'll figure it out, but let me know if it's something you'd be interested in.
Awesome.
Sorry, I'm just holding
No, cool.
Sorry.
How was the transition to a management role? Like, are there any challenges with that, particularly in a male-dominated field?
Do you want to start off?
Sure. There were some challenges, but most of it was not necessarily about being in a male-dominated field, but being in a technical field. I think that, or maybe it is because it's male-dominated. I don't know. But the thing that I noticed is that there's not a lot of support and coaching. Like there's not a lot of like leading you in the journey. It's like dump you in the deep end and see how you go. And it didn't help that I had, like, I'm a highly empathetic person. I really care about developing performance in my team. And my manager was kind of like we'll just see how the project goes. And I'm like, well, how am I going? He's like, we'll see how the project goes in 3 years. like, okay. But I just continued doing the things that I felt strongly about, and then I found other people to talk to whose coaching and managing I admired, or I found other new managers, and we caught up and talked about tools and challenges and things. And they were actually mostly all men, but they were struggling with the same things of not having tools given to them. We really had to go and find them ourselves. Yeah.
That's so great about how you kind of become the manager that you always wanted, right? Yeah.
No, that's a really good point, but you don't always get it right the first go either. So it's kind of a little bit of trial and error, plus leaning on others for their support and the mentorship, that kind of thing. The hard thing about that is, I guess, with a lot of different roles, you're good at your job, and then you get this leadership role, and the people problems are often way harder than the technical problems, and not everyone communicates in the same way, and some people might not like to talk about their problems, some people only like to talk about their problems, and so it's about balancing all of that and earning people's trust and showing your vulnerability in front of others. But some people might not want to see that, and so
People are complicated.
People are very complicated. But in a male-dominated field, I suppose with that one, from my leadership course, I learned that women are often, because in these sorts of fields you often only see males in those leadership roles, you tend to try and take some of their skills, and you're like, I'm going to apply that, and then you lose a bit of your compassion if you're only trying to, sorry, I'm like, I don't have the words, we're going to play articulate what I'm trying to say.
If you're like trying to drive performance.
Yes, exactly. So you're driving performance without compassion, and I'm guilty of this. Like, I was going on maternity leave, and I wanted my team to hit some deadlines before I went there, in case the project went flop when I left, and then I drove too hard, and then I could see that I was allowing them to fail, but not really. And then my empathetic side caught up, and I was like, oh, what are you doing? So I then got the team together, and I apologized to them for like how hard I was driving them for this, this imaginary deadline. That's my ramble.
Well, that's very insightful. How would you say, like, I guess, again, related to the male-dominated field, like, did either of you experience imposter syndrome going into a management role?
Oh,
The team that I was leaving gave me, like, a men's blue business shirt, because we had this joke that, like, all the managers at Fisher and Paykel wear this, like, blue business shirt. But I don't know, I guess you're in the field and you reach out to your support people, and there's a bit of imposter syndrome, but I don't know if that's unique to us. Like, with that group of young managers, they were all guys, they were all experiencing very similar things. So I guess that's an encouragement to, like, even if you experience that, don't feel like you might be the only one. You might just be the one who's brave enough to say it, and it might let them grow as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of people in this field might experience imposter syndrome. And yeah, it's that idea that you have to be a certain way to, belong, to succeed, that kind of thing. And you have to challenge your own thoughts on that, and you got to just change it and just, acknowledge it, be like, oh, okay, I'm feeling this right now, but then put it aside and then carry on doing what you're doing and what you're good at doing. So, yeah.
Awesome. How do you remove the guilt around taking some time to change careers or focus on yourself? I'm in the midst of a career break and I'm finding this a bit hard.
Yeah, I suppose I'm the perfect person to talk to that. I found it terribly hard. I was a person that was always pushing, always busy, always doing things and chasing the next opportunity. So I guess I didn't really choose my break, it chose me because I was going way too hard. But that was just kind of my personal experience. So I guess just like, you have to be so gentle with yourself. You have to be so kind to yourself, and you have to be actually a bit more practical and be like, hey, actually, sometimes you can have some preconceived ideas and you're like, where does this even come from? Why are we doing this to ourselves? Why are we comparing ourselves to everyone else? We're all going on our own individual journey. I don't actually have to do what everyone else is doing. There's so many different avenues, there's so many different paths we can take. And once you kind of give yourself that freedom to explore what other formats of life what that looks like, it's so much fun. I'm not in a career at the moment. Technically, I'm not in a salaried job, which is kind of frightening. I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. And I was just talking to one of my friends before, how crazy it is, but it's actually working so well for me. And yeah, you just have to kind of think, actually, what are my priorities? What's working well for me? And just take away that pressure to do the status quo. It's not all it's, you don't have to do what everyone else is doing, and there's so many fun opportunities and different things to explore when you give it the space, things pop up. So just kind of letting it be a little bit and just let flow with it, and just opportunities come up. You don't force it. Things will rise up to the surface, and the things that matter you will put your focus on, and it will come to the top. So just kind of bathe and bask in the unknown and just get comfortable with that, I guess, because it is uncomfortable at first if you're like, ugh. So yeah, just get really comfy with, this is okay. The flexibility is fine. Give yourself time to let the things that matter come to the top, and the right things will come along.
Dreams can change, and that's completely okay. And I think that's really hard to grasp, right? Because you've had, especially when you're at uni, you have this idea, I'm going to go down this path, and I'm going to do this.
And it's so one track, and you're like,
and then it kind of struggles connect with the rest of your brain being like, am I happy though?
And you're like, whose plan was this anyway?
Exactly.
So why am I doing this? There's just so many different ways to go about life, and I think that, if you're having a career break, great, you probably needed it. You probably needed the rest. Let when you go away on holiday, and then your brain, it opens up. You're out of the rat race, and your mind just widens, and you're like, oh my gosh, there's so many things. I could do so many things. I feel like that's kind of like a career break as well. It kind of opens your mind, and you can go, oh my gosh, this is not as stressful as I thought it was going to be. Hope that's helpful.
Awesome. Anyone else have anything to add to that? Cool. Everyone has so many hobbies and a massive drive to do amazing work. How do you not burn out? I can definitely relate to that one.
It's hard. I think if you have so many passions and interests and a little squirrel brain like mine, you're like, ooh, ooh, ooh. So many fun things. And if you love doing so many things and you're passionate and it's exciting and it's fun to learn new things and new skills and apply yourself in different ways. But if you're starting to feel the effects and you're getting a little warning sign, probably just ease off a little bit and go, hey, what am I going to prioritize at the moment? Maybe just pick 3 things, 5 or 3 maybe. And just go, okay, I'm just going to, well, you know, living and looking after your body and socializing if you're that way inclined, or I'm going to do this one hot sport. I'm not going to do 3 sports. I'm going to do just one sport, you know, just pick just simplify it a little bit, distill it a little bit. I'm definitely a chronic over hobbyer, and I've got way too many things, and it gets a bit stressful because you're like, oh, I haven't done this, and you're like, oh. So yeah, it's a blessing and a curse wanting to do so many things, I guess.
I recently just picked up crocheting, and I'm already like, I told myself I wouldn't do this.
Yeah, and you buy all the different needles. And I've got like a whole bag of yarn at home.
I have like 6
I'm like,
unfinished projects already.
Yeah. Just watch the warning signs, I guess. If it's mental, emotional, physical, you'll just listen to your body a little bit more. I certainly did not, and paid the price a little bit for that. So just kind of keep an eye on things. If your engine light comes on, don't ignore it.
I think some people have said that often we're really bad at self-reflecting. Sometimes it is your loved ones actually being like, hey, are you okay?
Your friends,
you don't seem like yourself.
Your family, and just be a bit more in tune with yourself and go, okay, I'm just gonna come back a little bit and find your rhythm again, find your equilibrium again.
Yeah, I find that with people transitioning from university to work, you suddenly find that you have so much more time, and then you fill your time.
And money.
But yeah, exactly what Taylor said. Just heed the warning signs.
I think one of my biggest learnings was that it was okay not to see people like every week. Like if I see them every month, it's okay. Or, and also then choosing the hobbies that were my refreshment and rest, so that they're filling me up rather than adding another job.
I've personally noticed talking to a lot of women in engineering that a lot of us tend to be quite high achieving starting in high school, and it's I think there is almost a thing that being busy is our personality. For some of us, I'm talking about myself, but I find that can be a very common theme, and it's just how do you kind of readjust as an adult to instead of being busy and doing things, what do I actually want to do rather than feeling like I should, right?
And your energy, you don't stay 18-year-old energy levels forever. It's going to taper off quickly.
Yeah,
absolutely.
There's that assessment that you can do to just check in with yourself. Do you remember what it was called? Is the circle of life or something? And then it helps you. There are different areas such as life, your relationships with family, your health, that kind of thing. And then you can make a little assessment, every few months, and just see if you're lacking in certain areas, if you're always getting sick because you're burning out. Yeah, that could help.
We should all write that down. Awesome. Thank you. How did you know that you wanted to be in a managerial role versus a technical principal engineer role? Often that is a very big switch.
That's a good question. For me, I think I've always taken on leadership roles from school to uni to, just different areas of life. But I didn't know until maybe I saw my manager and I was like, I would have done that differently. Or I would have handled that in a better way. No, don't tell my manager. Just the opportunity to develop others, and knowing that you have a sort of multiplier effect that's very, very powerful. Knowing that you've got these problems to solve, and it's not only you tackling the problem, but you've got this whole team behind you. And if everyone works together really well, you end up solving it in a much better way and more creative way. And that's one of the things that inspired me to become a manager and to go down the leadership track. And also, I think with a biomedical engineering background, we're kind of jack of all trades. I think that made me more interested in different areas. Like I didn't want to do pure engineering. I wanted to learn about the physiology and the anatomy, and then I'm also interested in the business side of things and influencing people and being there at those presentations and trying to convince people to change their minds. I like that. So yeah, management gives me that.
Yeah, I first want to say I work with some really amazing, and have worked with some amazing senior and principal engineers who, like, without them, the world would not go round. So if you want to go down that track, like, do it. It's amazing. For me, when I was like 3 or 4 years into my job, my manager actually said, like, what are your goals? Do you want to be a manager? And I was like, no. But it was because at the time, like, I was learning enough and I had enough influence and I saw all these amazing technical engineers around me and I wanted to do that. But then once I had hit that senior level and I was seeing that I was doing leadership roles and seeing the, like, I guess the influence you can have with more people on your side was like a big driver for it. And then I was going to say something and it's just gone out of my brain.
Get that.
I'll come back to it. Yeah. I think the scariest decision was like feeling like I would lose my technical skills, and I didn't want to, and I have to some extent. Like, I'm not on the tools. Like, I tried to send someone to Miriam recently because I was like, I can't do a CAD job for you. I know someone who can. But I've been really thankful that in an engineering manager role that you still keep your technical brain on. Like, you're still asking the right questions and understanding what's happening. And you have to be fast enough to keep up with what's happening without doing the work yourself. So, yeah.
Any advice on how I can transition from university to industry as a master's student, since internship opportunities are very limited? What else can I do, medtech specifically? Yeah, I know getting internships right now is incredibly rough, let alone grad roles.
Start a company. No, don't do that. That sounds so scary. Yeah, maybe I think networking probably helps. And to be honest, even if your passion is medtech, like my jobs doing internships in other industries have all grown my skills. So I think experience on your CV of any kind is valuable for someone looking at hiring. That's my thoughts. Volunteering?
Yeah. If they're really, really hard to find, and if you somehow have spare time to volunteer, you can set yourself apart from others by showing that you do have those really cool hands-on skills, problem-solving ability, all of those really, really transferable skills. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I guess, a couple of things that maybe help set me apart just from my personal experience. I got to be involved in like a research project with NIWA, so that was kind of crazy. Went out on a ship for like 4 weeks. That was crazy, but it's kind of different and weird, and they're like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then, if there's other projects that you could be involved in that are adjacent to the university. I was thinking I was also part of like a research group through Massey to do with Auckland District Health Board at the time, that I was kind of coming out of my study. It was over the summer. If there's any opportunities like that are coming up that are through the university, but kind of in the industry. If you could try, I don't know if there's anything like that, but yeah, that's kind of, yeah. I don't know. Do something crazy. Just make yourself, I don't know.
Build a house.
Yeah, do something weird, and they're like, oh, that's kind of cool. Might see you with that.
Cool. Have you come across a project which didn't interest you much, and how would you manage the work and or express to management where your interests lie?
Yes. I think if you haven't, you probably just haven't worked long enough. So one thing, and actually this comes from Gavin, he would always reframe projects as like, how are you adding value to the business? And that really helped me, is like, okay, this project may suck, but what's the end goal and how does that help, and can I just get through it? And then I use this great tool where I'm like, oh, isn't this a great growth opportunity for that person over there? Which I used after I'd spent 18 months managing one of our biggest clinical trials, and they wanted me to do the next one. And I said, oh, I think we really need to like share this around. Because it was an awesome experience, but I wanted to be doing other technical roles. Yeah, I guess it's be honest in what you're interested in, and don't be scared about sharing it, but you're also being paid to do a job, so it's like give and take. It's like, hey, this is what I'd love to do, but yes, I'll do what you're asking me to, because then I'm reliable, and hopefully one day you'll give me what I want.
Yeah, especially those first few years of a grad role, it's you get given a lot of the grunt work, and you go into this kind of role or this kind of career thinking that it's, I'm going to day one design and then design forever, and then there's documentation, there's writing, and maybe that's not where your passion lies, but like Suzanne says, also question the work that you're given as well. So don't keep taking the same work again and again, and it's not growing you as a person, but it's being given to you because you're good at it. Sort of challenge that as well. Anything to add?
I'm just thinking, things that I didn't really, production drawings, days and days and days of detailing production drawings for manufacturers and things, and that can get pretty tedious. How can you gamify it or make it fun for yourself, or a challenge? I guess that was just what worked for me, because I love a good challenge. So yeah, trying to make work that's maybe not as interesting as you'd hope a little bit more fun for yourself. And yeah, if you're good at it, take pride in that, and that will hopefully make it easier as well. Yeah.
Margaret, could you talk more about the experience of returning to work following your first maternity leave? Any tips?
Yes, so returning to work following my first maternity leave, I sort of went back from, I started off 3 days in the office, and then 2 weeks later I was on 4 days, and then I went to 5 days within a month. I would not recommend that. So I think, right at that point in time, I was trying to solve a problem. There were, people problems within the team, and there were technical problems that I really wanted to jump back in and solve those problems. But give yourself some grace if you can, and give yourself more time to transition back if that's something that you want. But also think about what you want. No one's maternity leave looks the same, and no one's transition back to work looks the same, because we've all, you've grown a human, and that maternity leave, it could have been the maternity leave of dreams. You're constantly in a cafe and shopping and catching up with friends, or it could be, you could have 3 months of 2-hour sleeps a night, or even if you get 6 hours sleep, it's not in a solid block, and so your brain is fried and you still have to act like a human. So yeah, I think just understanding that it's not always how you imagine it to be, having support around you to try and make that experience better. Yeah, I think other tips would be to, have some open relationships. Open open conversations with with.
She's happily married. Just
I love that. With your manager and with your team, and getting them to understand that. I can't get over that one. Get them to understand that, hey, this is where I'm at now. I feel really guilty about sort of judging other mums back in the day when I was a grad and being like, 9 o'clock, they're only just in, like what? But actually, they started their day at 5, and they've had to drop the kids off at school, they've had to get themselves ready, they've had to, change clothes from being spewed on. And so just, understanding that people around you have lives as well. Yeah. Empathy, yeah.
Hi, Margaret. I'm a male at FPH we also have people online as well, who is soon going to mentor a female intern. What can I do to be the best mentor I can and help them grow? Thanks.
Oh, that's awesome. Good on you. Yay. Mentoring a female intern, that's fantastic. Good on you. What can I do to be the best mentor I can to help them grow? I think helping them depends on what kind of intern they are. If they're, sort of shy, trying to help them come out of their comfort zone, potentially helping them link up with WISE, which is Women in Science and Engineering, and, there's a lot of other women like them, potentially interns as well. Checking in, I suppose. You only have sort of 12 weeks with them, and so helping them be exposed to as many different opportunities as you can in that short amount of time would be amazing. Yeah, please.
one of the things, everyone's different, but I think, especially with interns, it's really powerful to bring them with you. So if you're doing a job that you're like, I do this every day, bring them with you, because especially if they're nervous, seeing someone else do it first before they have to do it themselves, sending them off to do it themselves is like a drop in the deep end, but going with them on the journey and then being like, do you want me to stand with you while you do the next one, or that kind of thing.
Awesome. Like sitting in on meetings. I was just thinking, if you were going to a meeting that's a bit higher up level than maybe they're working at the moment, just exposing them to some of the conversations that are going on, I think is really cool, because they can start to understand just how everything's working a bit better. I always wish I'd be like, can I sit on that? So that would be cool. I think that it would be a good one.
Awesome. That's all really good advice. How do you identify who would be a good mentor for you, and how do you start to build that relationship?
For me, I think it would be seeing if they have the qualities that I would admire in a person. Potentially they've done the work before, but they can't be cutthroat. They can't be sacrifice anything to get the job done. For me, it would be someone who, they're still compassionate. They haven't lost the human side, and they're quite good at their role, and they're successful in their job, whatever that looks like. And then building the relationship, I think, would be to reach out and have a good conversation over coffee or something like that, and making sure that you're both aware of any time commitments, or you understand the frequency that you want to meet, and forming that kind of relationship.
I was going to say, it's kind of like dating. It's quite scary. It's like, I remember reaching out. So there was one product development manager when I started as a product development manager who was a female. And we've got many more now, which is amazing. And so I sent her an email and was like, hi, and explained who I was, and was like, would you mind having coffee? And I was so nervous, but she was like, I know who you are. Absolutely, yes. And she was the one who gave me that book that I passed on to you. So I think being brave to ask, and then after that conversation, it's like, would you mind catching up again? And then it's just being brave to ask, and it's okay to get a no, and you just move on to the next person.
Anything to add, Taylor?
I don't know. I guess it was, for me, I'm very much work on intuition and vibes as well. So if I have a good gut feeling about you and I want to spend more time and I just, generally like them as a person and admire them as a person, then, that's probably a good start. Yeah. And also they want to be in, I feel like if you want to pick someone that genuinely wants to help you as well, otherwise it's going to feel a bit forced. Or, you want to make sure it all feels really good. I don't know if that's very helpful. Yeah.
Awesome. How do you manage not knowing what's coming next?
With difficulty. I guess as we were kind of discussing before, you go through school, you go through university, start a job, it's all kind of like quite linear. If you get to a point where, you're on the edge of this great abyss and you're like, I'm not sure what's going to happen next. And, there's been a lot of redundancies recently. A lot of people that I know have been made redundant, and there's, it's really tough out there at the moment, just generally, in different fields. So, it can be a bit scary kind of trying to face that, I suppose. Depends on who you are as a person and what kind of works for you. I mean, if you're a planner, get planning, do some research, make a plan. If you want some direction, then make that direction for yourself. It's no good just kind of wallowing. And getting out there, meeting people. I guess if you're starting to feel a bit stagnant, going along to events like this, going to talks, going to conferences, exhibitions, just anything to kind of get you out there and see what's going on will help kind of make those connections and help inspire new opportunities. And really, when you just connect with people, you never know what's going to come of it. Like, honestly, the other day I met this woman on the street and we got talking, and now I'm helping her start a business. Like, it's crazy. You just never quite know what's going to happen. And when you kind of open yourself up to connect with people, some pretty cool connections and opportunities can come out of that. So just be really open to what's going to come, I suppose, and don't be afraid to put yourself out there. I mean, what's the worst going to happen, just go for it.
Anything else to add?
Go ahead. I think Taylor was almost like displaying this in what she was saying, but something I had to learn was like separating my identity from my work. And like knowing that there's people who love you and there are other things out there, and then the uncertainty doesn't matter as much. You're going to be okay.
Cool. How do you deal with imposter syndrome or a perceived need to prove yourself?
I can start with that one. I think I dealt with a lot of imposter syndrome at the start of my career, but I think that each time that there's a huge amount of change, you might feel it again. We held a talk with some of our senior leaders at work, and some of the women said that they still felt some imposter syndrome, really late in their career as well. And I guess that is really cool because it means that you're challenging yourself. If you don't feel imposter syndrome, then maybe you're not challenging yourself hard enough, but also understanding that it is just all in your head. And you need to, you can accept it and then put it over there and then carry on. Anything to add to that?
I got reminded the other day by someone very wise that it's called imposter syndrome because it's not real. And I was like, oh yeah. But I think, that's a great example of like having people around you who can be like, no, this is all the good stuff you're doing, remember, and like help you put stuff in perspective.
What suggestion would you give to keep yourself motivated in finding the first job? Any suggestion of what you could relate to? Thanks.
First job.
I know it can be really disheartening trying again and again for things. But I think probably my best advice would be, why did you pick this? What do you love about it? Can I do something along those lines that's heading in the right direction, that's going to keep me interested and passionate about this topic that I'm so invested in that I went to university and did all this study? Like, why did I do this? What do I love about it? What can I do? You know, is it a little side project that you create your own brief and you're like, I'm just going to do this little project on the side to challenge myself, and you know, that could become a portfolio piece or something to just spark, you know, an opportunity in the future. But yeah, why did you pick this? What do you love about it? And can you do something that's heading in the right direction, that's going to keep you passionate about it and keep the love there, I guess, because it can be hard to just, you know, no, and so yeah, just kind of keep the love for what you picked, I suppose, alive somehow.
Yeah, that's such a good suggestion. A lot of the people that we hire them for, you know, not only, you know, they've done their university degree, they've got an A+, that kind of thing. It's their side hobbies and passions, and, you know, their side projects. They've done this really incredible thing because they're interested, and we saw that they could solve problems through those side projects, and yeah.
I feel really like I can't talk to this because we were lucky to graduate when the economy was a lot better. And so I really feel for you graduating at the moment, and just, like, if you need a mentor or anything, like, please reach out to people who are older, and they can probably give better one-on-one advice.
Yeah. Awesome. How do you balance being assertive and respected whilst also being empathetic?
So practice.
It's
Get it wrong.
Yeah, it's a very
Try again.
game.
Okay.
Rigged.
No, that's a good one. It really depends on what you fall back on, and you need to understand that there's different types of situations where you need to apply different types of leadership skills. Sometimes, you know, when the deadlines are coming, you might need a little bit of assertiveness to allow people to be more accountable for their projects. But like, that won't work 100% of the time, and you shouldn't use that 100% of the time. You should, you know, fall back on some other sort of leadership traits that aren't just, hey, this is what you need to do. Empathy, I think, also being empathetic. I think also being empathetic 100% of the time as a manager or anyone in leadership is really tough as well, because when you're constantly in the other person's shoes, you can make excuses for everyone, and, you know, if they can't meet their project deadlines, you might be like, oh, okay, but they actually didn't have a really good night's sleep, that kind of thing. Their dog was sick. Balancing the two is really hard. It's really, really hard.
Yeah, I know Margaret and I have both performance managed some pretty difficult people, and performance managed them out of the business even, and that's hard because even in those situations, like, they deserve our empathy, but then the actions you need to take to respect the business and respect the other people in your team. So it's kind of like, how do you give truth and love? You know, like, how do you be like, well, this is the situation, I'm really sorry. Like, not like you're a terrible person, because we have empathy. It's like, I know this is really tough, but this is the decision we have to make, I'm sorry. And, you know, like, trying to explain it well. Yeah. That's like the worst case situation.
Yeah.
But, and for the most part, I think it's like a pendulum, and you are super empathetic, and then stuff starts slipping, so you have to like pull it back the other way, and yeah, you're always learning.
It sounds like a key is making sure they always feel like you definitely hear them and what they're saying.
Communication's so
Exactly.
important, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just making sure that people are, their understanding of, I've lost the word again. What's the word? Of, they're aware of what's expected.
Yeah.
Managing expectations, that's right.
I love your guys' friendship. It's so wholesome. Anything to add, Taylor?
I mean, obviously, I haven't managed anyone because I was in such a small little team at Vivid. Managing myself was hard enough. No, I'm kidding. But like, I was just thinking, if you're working with colleagues, and you know, same thing applies. Working with anyone, you know, you got to, when you're working closely and you're spending all day, every day with these people, you know, you're almost spending more time with them than some of your friends and family. You know, you've got a relationship going there. So when you're working together and collaborating, obviously it'll take trial and error, and you're learning as you go through to kind of find that line, and you'll learn as you go where that line is. But don't be too hard on yourself if you slip up and I was a bit too hard on that, or I didn't handle that quite as well as I could have. Just be really gentle with yourself and go, oh yeah, I could have done that better, and yeah, try again next time. Yeah.
Cool. I just grab my phone so I can keep track of the time. Yes. Oh, wow. Yeah, we might wrap that up there then. Okay. Awesome. Sweet. Thank you so much, all of you, for speaking tonight and giving such great advice to everyone. It's really great.
Thanks for having us.
We're going to have pitch time now.
Okay, I'm Sabina from Callahan Innovation, and I'm from R&D Tax Incentive Scheme, so you must have heard it. I'm sure a lot of the company startups here is already taking the advantage and benefit of Research and Development Tax Incentive Scheme. What is RDTI, Research and Development Tax Incentive? You get 15% tax credit on your eligible R&D expenditure. So if you're doing R&D, please come and see me or get my contact information from Michaela. We also do New to R&D grant and experience and career grants for students. So New to R&D grant is pretty much if you're starting on your R&D journey, you get 40% of your project supported by Callahan grant. Now Callahan Innovation, RDTI, like my team, R&D Tax Incentive Scheme and grant team, we are moving into MBIE next week. But our email addresses will remain same for a few months until we make changes, and we'll let stakeholders and businesses know when they're change.
Awesome.
So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Just in time.
My name is Natalia. I'm just finished my master at AUT about how to increase recycling awareness, plastic recycling awareness in New Zealand locally. So helping and teaching communities how to recycling here using 3D printing technology and extrusion materials. And also, I've been doing some biomaterials research for AUT. I finished that, and I'm looking for new opportunities, like job opportunities or collaboration. So now I can pass you this around and show you how I turn like milk bottles lids and like soft drinks lids into 3D printing filament.
Awesome.
And this is one of my master. How can I say that? As like the people who attend to my workshops, they were free, of course, for the master. This is what they done. So they put some of the pieces together, like they glue them, and they make some propagation station for their plants as well. I didn't bring them because they are glass and could be like quite dangerous. So I can pass around if you want to see the material.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you so much.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko tangata te tiriti toko iwi, ko Michelle Hazelega Mollard toko ingoa, and I'm the National Operations Manager for Aotearoa KiwiBots. We do STEM education from 5 years and younger right through to university. So if you've done VEX robotics, it helps in the STEM the STEM area. We have amazing funders, actually funding partners with Fisher & Paykel Healthcare Foundation and University of Auckland, and a whole bunch of others. But anyway, if you're available in February, we have our nationals at Onehunga High School, 20th and 21st or 22nd of February. We rely on volunteers. We have over 100 volunteers in Aotearoa. I oversee the whole program, but I'm the only paid employee, so sorry I can't give you a job. Would love to. I can totally give you volunteering work. And if you also know about Vex Robotics in a local school, we need more engineers, mentors, coaches, stuff like that. So grab a pen, which has got our the name, and then check the website.
Awesome, thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Sneha. I'm a second year computer systems student. I also help out like Hardware Meetup with the social media and just organizing. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about Ignite. So Ignite is a non-profit organization, and they hold like annual camps in January sometime. So this is for like high school students. We hold like STEM workshops. We live at Waipa for like about a week, and then it's at uni. So a lot of companies do like side tours or sponsor like, kids, because it's totally free for them. So if anyone is willing to sponsor or even do any activities with high school students, that would be great. So you can just come up and talk to me later if you're interested. Thank you.
Hi everyone, wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but I will give a quick pitch. I started a women's founder community, so for entrepreneurial women who are interested in starting their own business. Mon is actually a part of it, which is awesome, and I think we do need a lot more hardware engineers in the group. It's typically software focused or different businesses, creative businesses, so would love to see some of you there. We have just finished our third event, and we'll be doing our next one at One Tree Hill Park in November on the 8th, Saturday morning, so you can bring your kids. And yeah, I would love to see more of your faces there. Thanks.
Awesome, thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Violet and I'm here to pitch to you the Auckland Program for Space Systems. So this is an undergraduate program where we build up the skill sets for the students to prepare them for the aerospace industry. Currently our programs include creating CubeSats, so if anyone's interested in making the hardware for that, even the mechanical side of things, so obviously this is for undergraduate students. We've also have some startup spin-offs, so actually Asterix is one of our spin-offs, so that's very interesting to see them here. And the one that I want to pitch is actually PSAT program, because I feel like this is something that everybody wants to get involved. So if you want to manufacture things, you want to learn how to make PCBs, do machining, pretty much create a project that you can deploy in high altitudes so that you can test your technology readiness level at a much less risky way, then that is kind of the program where we aim to get. So what I'm trying to get here is that I know there's like a variety of people here, so if you're a student, then feel free to come talk to me. But if you're like from the industry, then we would love to have you included as well. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, this is Ramandeep. So I'm an embedded engineer. I have 10 years of experience in verification, validation of FPGA, SOC, IP designs. I have done testing, regression runs, scripting, automation. So I previously used to work with NXP Semiconductors, and my customers were in Austin, Netherlands. I am here in the search of my job journey, so looking for an opportunity or good projects in maybe in the semiconductor or IT industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Divya, I've known for a very long time. She's very cool. She used to help run Hardware Meetup as well.
Cool. Hello, everyone. I'm Divya, and I'm here to pitch myself because I'm looking for any opportunities within data or mechatronics at startups. A little about me is that I was at Holter for 3 years, which is an agri-tech startup, where I jumped around from manufacturing to data to then proposing and leading an R&D project, which involved like building my own hardware, writing firmware, and then building machine learning models to like collect data and do cool stuff as well. I then moved to a climate nonprofit where I got into data again and then full stack development. And as of the past like 5 months, I've just been exploring an idea in the charity space where I'm trying to make the process of donating a lot easier, a lot more engaging, a lot more transparent. And now I'm kind of keeping an eye out for any cool opportunities at startups. So I feel like I'm a good generalist. I like doing a little bit of lots of different things. So if you think there's anything there, or if you're keen to talk about any of the things that I mentioned, just keen to have a chat as well. Cool.
Awesome, thank you. Cool. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming to our event today. Thank you so much to our sponsors for sponsoring. Thank you very much to Outset. Loon Digital, Blender, and Braymac. Cool. Awesome. Sweet. Thank you, everyone.